Thanks for joining us for today's Elko Live here on KELK. It is an exciting new month. Here we are in December, and we are literally days and weeks away from one of Northeast Nevada's premier events. We're talking about the 40th National Cowboy Poetry Gathering, and it's time to start talking about kicking things off with the National Gathering with our gathering manager, Callie Greenhaw. Callie, it's always a pleasure to sit across from you.
Yeah, I love being interviewed by you, Lori.
Well, thank you so much. Oh, well, it's fantastic to catch up and to know certainly the gathering is a year-round project. It involves the entire community. I know volunteers are getting ready to meet. For some of them, this is their favorite time of the year, Callie, and so we can just get started. I mean, this year is going to be so special because it's the 40th.
Yes, and I know for a fact, because I've talked to many of the people that were involved in the original gathering, that they never thought it would go on this long. It was supposed to be a one-time event, and here we are 40 years later, and that's just absolutely wonderful.
It's a testament to the love, for the tradition, for the legacy, for the storytelling, because we know that this kind of culture brings people together, Callie. And so I'm sure it wasn't too difficult to come up with a theme because a lot of this probably has to do with reunion, right? As you said, this is a landmark milestone.
Yeah, for most of the planning, the theme was the 40th anniversary, and of course it still is. It impacts our programming quite a lot. The theme actually this year is Be the Poem, Be the Song, which is taken from a Buck Ramsey poem called Anthem. And it was just one of those lines that really resonated with the staff and, of course, the performers, because a lot of the poetry and music that you hear at the gathering is lived experiences. And so what better to celebrate 40 years than Be the Poem, Be the Song?
Well, as we're riding this big ship through the sagebrush ocean of northeastern Nevada, Callie, and, you know, a lot of people are tempted to just kind of shrink a little bit. There's a lot of insecurity. There's fear. There's division in neighbors, with neighbors and families. But the gathering can really serve as an opportunity to get back together, right? Because if anybody knows anything about ranching, there's a lot of diversity in ranching and a lot of adversity, right?
Yeah, and that's one thing that really unites any occupational culture and that's agricultural or agrarian, is kind of overcoming diversity no matter where you live in the world. And I think the Folk Life Center has done a very good job of pulling these international or just national performers that, you know, they're united by this kind of lifestyle, and they come together and realize that maybe they're different political views, maybe they're different religions or different ethnicity or what have you, but they can always find commonality in the work that they do. And that's what's really lovely, because it's a town-wide event too. So Elko really comes together for the gathering. It's a community-wide event. A lot of things happening in town during that week, and Elko really comes out in full force for support of this event. And, you know, that's kind of the magic of the gathering. You get people from out of town experiencing, perhaps for the first time, this type of lifestyle, but then you also get all the locals that, you know, really are supportive and get to enjoy the events too. So.
Yep, to welcome everybody. So the dates of the event?
January 27th through February 1st.
Western Folk Life Center headquarters, the historic Pioneer Hotel, downtown Elko. Again, this event was first produced in 1985, and it was a very small but dedicated group. It brought together not just the cowboys, the people, the working people on the ranches and the families, but folklorists and poets. I mean, academics, intellectuals, right?
Yes. And we have a very dedicated group of folklorists that come back every year and staff the event. And so you get the academics that were there in the very beginning that kind of got the funding, pitched this idea, and then years later they're still here, or they were mentored by the people that helped start this gathering. So yeah, it's an mix of people. It's not just cowboys and the event staff. It's, you know, everyone underneath the sun from different places you would never even expect are involved in cowboy poetry or know about cowboy poetry.
So we do have Buck's poem, and I thought we could play this, Callie.
I was riding it through the breaks of that long plain, and leather creaking in the quieting would sound with trot and trot again. I lived in time with horse hoof falling. I listened well and heard the calling the earth my mother bade to me though I would still ride wild and free. And as I flew out on the morning before the bird, before the dawn, I was the poem. I was the song my heart would beat the world a warning. Those horsemen now rode all with me, and we were good, and we were free. We were not told, but ours the knowing we were the native strangers there among the things the land was growing. To know this gave us more the care to let the grass keep at its growing and let the streams keep at their flowing. We knew the land would not be ours, that no one has the awful powers to claim the vast and common nesting, to own the life that gave him birth, much less to rape his mother earth and ask her for a mother's blessing, and ever live in peace with her, and dying, come to rest with her. Oh, we would ride and we would listen and hear the message on the wind. The grass and morning dew would glisten until the sun would dry and blend the grass to ground and air to sky. We'd know by bird or insect flying, or by their mood, or by their song, if time and moon were right or wrong for fitting works and rounds to weather. The critter coats and leaves of trees might flash some signal with the breeze or wind and sun on flower or feather. We knew our way from dawn to dawn and far beyond, and far beyond. It was the old ones with me riding out through the fog fall of the dawn, and they would press me to deciding if we were right or we were wrong. For time came we were punching cattle for men who knew not spur nor saddle, who came with locusts in their purse to scatter loose upon the earth. The savage had not found this prairie till some who hired us came this way to make the grasses pay, and pay for some raw greed no wise or wary regard for grass could satisfy. The old ones wept, and so did I. Do you remember we had come bogging to town with jingle in our jeans, and in the wild night we'd be bogging up to our hats in last month's dreams? It seemed the night could barely hold us with all those spirits to embold us, while horses waiting on 3 legs, we'd drain the night down to the dregs, and just before beyond redemption, we'd gather back to what we were. We'd leave the money left us there and head our horses for the wagon. But in the ruckus and in the whirl, we were the wolves of all the world. The grass was growing scarce for grazing, would soon turn sod, or soon turn bare. The money men set to replacing the good and true in spirit there. We could not say, there was no knowing how ill the future winds were blowing. Some cowboys even shunned the ways of cowboys in the trail herd days, but where's the gift not turned for plunder? Forgot that we are what we do and not the stuff we lay claim to. I dreamed the spell that we were under. I throw in with the cowboy band and go out horseback through the land. So mornings now I'll go out riding to pastures of my solemn plain, and leather creaking in the quieting will sound with trot and trot again. I'll live in time with horsehoof falling. I'll listen well and hear the calling the earth my mother bids to me, though I will still ride wild and free. And as I ride out on the morning before the bird, before the dawn, I'll be this poem. I'll be this song my heart will beat the world a warning. Those horsemen will ride all with me, and we'll be good, and we'll be free. Thank you.
Amen.
Wow, that is, of course, Buck Ramsey, the late Buck Ramsey. We're here talking about the 40th National Cowboy Poetry Gathering with Callie Greenhaw, who's our manager.
Yeah, it just really struck us because it paired with the artwork and then with the 40th theme and it just had everything.
I mean, there's a loneliness to that poem, but then it's all about community and all about nature. I mean, and when it gets down to it, Callie, really the only thing that's for sure is that nature is in control, out of our control.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, just the artwork of the Lone Rider in this blizzard, and with Buck's poem, it's just, work has to be done. It doesn't matter what nature is doing with ranching. And just, there's the isolation of that kind of moment, but then there's the community of everyone experiencing moments like that.
Of course, a lot of what the National Gathering centers around is sharing in that tradition, that enduring love. There's craftsmanship, the creativity, the art, in addition to the obvious poetry, the literature, but lots of music, Callie. And I can imagine that what might have been difficult this year is putting together a list of, who couldn't be at the gathering, right?
Yes, and that's kind of a reality of every year, having to go through and see who can still make it or who is no longer with us. And we're fortunate to actually, from the 80s, we have about 6 people on our lineup that are committed to coming. Dick Gibford, Ross Knox, Bill Lohman, Waddy Mitchell, Henry Rilbert, and Betty Lynn McCarthy. But then I expanded my search farther beyond the 80s, of course, and who was actually here in the first, maybe 20 years. And we have a whole bunch of performers from the 90s that started coming in the 90s and have continued on. And of course, with any year, but especially on an anniversary year, there's the expectation to see people that have been involved in the gathering for years and years and years. But there's also, honoring our roots, kind of paying tribute, if you will, to the performers that had paved the way for this great event and making sure they have a space. But also, what are the next 40 years like? And, opening that space up to new talent and, trying to get new people on the lineup and getting them exposed to our audiences so, this event can continue. So this year was really a very delicate balancing act between the two because you want both to come to the gathering. You want everyone to come. Of course, like any artist, we always hate saying no to people, of course, but it was really important to get that balance right this year.
Mm-hmm. And we do know that tickets have gone on sale for members. Certainly some events, workshops, things may have sold out, Callie, but there's still plenty to be offered.
Yes, we have some sold out shows, but of course tickets are still available, sold out workshops. Of course, we're really fortunate to be doing well in that regard. But, some of our workshops, and I'm going to champion 3 of our workshops because we have this great fund called the Ian Tyson Fund, who of course was in honor of Ian Tyson. But it makes it so ranch community members can take any workshop of their choosing for $50, no matter the original cost. And so this year we've really emphasized our gear making workshops for that fund. And it's our leather carving workshop, our stamped leather valet tray, which is a really cool, if you don't know what a valet tray is, it's essentially like a jewelry tray or put your keys in it, but really cool design. You can design in the middle and it's kind of riveted together and it's a leather tray and then a silver cuff bracelet. And those are our three workshops that we're really devoting Ian Tyson's funds to. And it's a great opportunity because gear making workshops can run slightly more expensive just because of the cost of the materials. But we really felt like, and the funders of Ian Tyson Fund really felt like it's important to get ranch community members involved and learning these skills that, are not practiced as much as they used to be. So
that's right. I mean, that's where the authenticity comes from the people who are actually doing the work. And there's still plenty of ranching here in northeastern Nevada.
Yeah. Yes. Bringing it to the spotlight and making sure there's a space for people to learn these essential skills, gear making, or just, forms of entertainment like poetry. That's really what it's about. It's about the ranching community. And of course, everyone is welcome to learn. We're not just focused on if you're a rancher or not, but we do want to bring the ranching community to the center stage.
We do know, as you mentioned, too, the 40th National Gathering will be bringing back some people from the original gathering in the 1980s. The first group gathered in 1985. And it's important to note, Callie, that while they'll likely revisit some of their favorites, these are people that have been creating the entire time.
Yes. I mean, the work never stops. They're surrounded by inspiration, like their landscapes, their triumphs, their struggles. So, of course, they never stop creating because they're surrounded by what has inspired them for many, many years. So that'll be really, I think, exciting to see what people have come up with or hear some old favorites. And I mean, some of these performers I probably saw when I was a kid, but it's been long enough that I'm excited to see them again because I'm like, I have video of them, but I don't really quite remember. So it'll be fun.
And I think it's fair to say, too, that musicians, people who practice their craft, it's sort of like wine as it ages. They also get better, right? We can look forward to some amazing musical performances.
Oh, yes, definitely. Old favorites, new talent. Kind of got something for everyone, I think.
Mm-hmm. Callie Greenhaw is our guest today. She is the National Cowboy Poetry Gathering Manager. We're talking about the 40th National Gathering, which is nearly upon us, January 27th through February 1st. And information is available online, westernfolklife.org. You can get details about the gathering right here in Elko. And if you need to step out, Callie, it's okay. I will fill in till she gets back. The gathering headquarters is located in the historic Pioneer Hotel. That's there at the corner of 5th and Railroad Streets in downtown Elko. There's an amazing gallery with artwork, some of the leather, silverware and gear that we've been describing that you can accomplish in workshops taught by authentic artists of the tradition of the American West. There is beautiful artwork and music. You can also shop in the gift shop. It's a great place to get items for Christmas that are really unique and original, from music to books to coffee mugs to jewelry. There's some stunning jewelry, even, some kitchenware, just all kinds of unique items, some decorator items, all in the true Western tradition. That's at Cowboy Poetry Gathering headquarters. And then the National Gathering itself, we need to mention that these tickets and the performances make great gifts in themselves. You can get tickets. You can get more information online. You can reserve a place for someone to attend or get them actual tickets to an event. This midwinter event is multi-generational, and it is full of ranch folk and food, but with art, the gear, the film, the discussions, plenty of dancing, the live music, and of course, it is the place to talk about cowboy poetry, both emerging talent as well as the talent that is continuing to groom and encourage the upcoming generation of the 40th Gathering. So the gathering, again, this year, it is a live in-person tradition, but there is a host of information online. The National Gathering archives are also a great place. There's a Cowboy YouTube channel, by the way, where you can download a lot of the videos and find some of the music and live performances of the past that we've been talking about right here today. So this is just a brief introduction. I think we're going to have Callie. Do you want to come back later in the week, sweetie? That would be fine with me. You're good?
We'll see.
Okay, all right. I'm not worried that we are nothing if not accommodating. It's radio. And plus, it's just like the gathering. You never know what's going to happen. It's all spontaneous, right?
Yeah. We plan it the best we can, but, it's an event. Things happen.
Things happen.
Live in time.
Yep, despite our best laid plans. You just couldn't dream it up if you tried. So talking with Callie about, again, some of the, now I've got a tickle. Oh, no. That's so funny. I had a tickle last week.
This was my worst fear. I was going to come up here and just have a coughing fit because I've been sick for the past week. Yeah. And, well, I manifested it.
Oh, that's okay. As I said, I had a little tickle last week and I was like, oh no, I'm fine. And then suddenly it sort of came upon me too. And it is just going around. It's just that kind of season right now. I don't have an official diagnosis for you listeners, but I just wanted my colleague, she was just home all weekend too with her husband. They were home all Thanksgiving weekend with this Same thing.
Yeah, better now than at the gathering, though.
Yes, that's true. Getting it out of your system. So, all right. So, National Gathering, January 27th through February 2nd. Again, we just want to remind everybody that tickets are on sale. You can experience this either in person in the audience. Are you still looking for volunteers, Callie?
Yes, I'm so glad you asked because I have a whole thing about volunteers.
Awesome.
So our first volunteer event is our cocktail social, and that is this Wednesday, December 4th from 6 to 8 in the Pioneer Saloon. And it's a great place to meet other volunteers, catch up because some of our volunteers, come in from out of town, sign up for shifts, learn more about the things we have available. And of course, if you volunteer, it's kind of a way to get into the gathering because we give you a deluxe pass so you can access the daytime sessions at the gathering for the 3 main days, Thursday through Saturday. You can also, depending upon what you sign up to do, be watching the show. So if you're a logger, you sit in the show and write down what the poems they recite, who recited them, etc. So you get to just watch the show, which is kind of cool. And then, of course, door monitors take turns. You might be able to see part of the show. But it's a really great community. And without our volunteers, the gathering couldn't happen. And we're just so immensely grateful for them because they dedicate a lot of their time and their hard work to making this event successful. And it's just kind of an amazing feeling to have so many people care.
There are more than 100 volunteers, I think, just from the Elko area, right?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's like hundreds of volunteers.
Hundreds. Okay.
I don't know the Elko numbers, but I do see a lot of familiar faces from the Elko community that come in, and which is just wonderful.
So as far as that social goes, which is Wednesday night, 6 to 8 at the Folk Life Center, do you need to have a prerequisite? Can you just drop on in? Maybe you haven't done this before.
Oh, yeah. Just definitely drop on in. Everyone is welcome, and we'll find a place for you to volunteer if that's what you want to do.
Okay, so this is a good chance to meet other volunteers, talk to them about their experience, find a good way to fit in. And it's pretty much a commitment during that week, January 27th through February 1st?
Yeah, I mean, you can sign up for shifts, so whatever works with your schedule. If only one shift works on a Thursday night, then that's fine. If you want to do early week stuff, that's great too. We even have office work and stuff leading up to the gathering that people help us put together, performer packets, all sorts of things. So it's really, if you have a niche and you want to tell us about your niche, that's great. And if you don't know and you're just down for anything, we'll find a spot for you.
Very nice. Callie Greenhaw from the National Cowboy Poetry Gathering right here in Elko. Again, talking about that volunteer cocktail social hour coming up Wednesday night. I want to make sure that we're getting to other topics that were high on your list today, because I know we're going to have you come back.
I could tell you a little bit about our new artists.
Oh, that'd be exciting. Okay.
So we've talked a little bit about the original class of 85, or we'll say the 80s. But this year we have several new artists coming in that we're really excited about. Sterling Drake, who is from Florida, but I think he works out on a ranch in Montana. It was an amazing songwriter, kind of very storytelling. Because I grew up going to my family's ranch in Wyoming, like a lot of his songs kind of evoke those kind of memories or feelings of being out on the ranch. Buffalo Kin, who I actually have a funny story about Buffalo Kin. They're this duo out of Oregon. In the gallery last year, we had a photography exhibit by Joseph Haberly. And the lead singer, or one of the singers of Buffalo Kin, Seth, his portrait was featured in the gallery last gathering. And so when they applied to the gathering, I'm like, why does Buffalo Kin sound familiar? And I went down there and I'm like, yep, there's Seth. So they went from being featured in our gallery to being featured on our lineup. But they just have this very, these great harmonies. And just Seth is an amazing banjo player. And his wife, Caitlin, an amazing singer. And it's just, they sing songs that kind of go back in the history of the West and kind of evoke those kind of thoughts. So it's storytelling in its own right, but at a different angle. And then we have Lone Pinion, which is a group out of Albuquerque. Half of Lone Pinion actually plays with Lara Manzanares, who's been on our lineup for a couple years now, and we love her. But they have their own band, and it's this New Mexican string band, and they sing in Spanish. So I don't speak Spanish, so I don't know what they're singing about, but the music is just so fun and lively. And with Lone Pinion, they make an effort to go to different elders in their community and learn dance styles, music styles. They've studied extensively with different elders. So it's a really neat project, and they're actually doing a dance workshop which I highly recommend because they're so knowledgeable and their music is just so much fun. Like they just have, and you watch them play and they're just having a blast. So
They're just inspiring everybody around them to have fun. And that really is 90% of the gathering, honestly, is just the inspiration that you get from one person to another, that kind of exchange. And you mentioned, the cultural aspect. The gathering is multi-generational, but also multicultural. I mean, there may be many different languages spoken during a gathering.
Oh, yes. I didn't realize it at the time because growing up, you don't really think about some of these things. But, we had Norwegian, like Rodney Nelson was one of our famous Norwegian American poets. But yeah, you can have Norwegian, Spanish.
You might have Cajun. Yeah, we've had Scottish.
Yes.
Yeah.
Last year we had a couple people come and help us out during the gathering. One was from Greece, the other one was from Serbia.
Wow.
And then so we got introduced to some of their customs just being in the office with them during the gathering, which is real fun. So it just, it is multicultural and it appeals to people across different places in their life, different walks of life.
Callie, we are going to let you go pretty soon because we're going to let you nurse your throat, and I'm going to take care of the tickle in my throat, and we want you to be well so that you can come back here soon. But we want to know, are you able to tell us about maybe the keynote speaker yet, or has that been disclosed? I don't want to spill any beans if it's not time.
I don't know if it's been disclosed.
Well, then I don't want to get you in trouble.
I don't know if it shouldn't be disclosed. You know what I mean?
It's okay, and it's okay.
Maybe we can bring it up later, but I will
Perfect.
say, well-loved member of the gathering community.
Great.
Yes.
We'll look forward to the well-loved member of the gathering community. There's always something insightful. Arts, culture, community. The national gathering brings people together, even if it brings them together over controversial topics, because we've done that in the past as well. But we always seek solution. It's about common ground. One of my favorite themes, that's what I sought to do with One Small Step in the StoryCorps, is mending fences. So let's hope we can mend a few fences going forward. It's time.
What better way to do it than through music, poetry, art, things that bring us together?
Callie Greenhaw, National Cowboy Poetry Gathering Manager from right here in Elko. We're going to have you back on the program. We'll talk more about the gathering. In the meantime, go online, get those tickets, right?
Yep, go online, get tickets, sign up for volunteer, visit the gift shop. We have gathering merch, scarves, and posters.
The scarves are in.
The scarves are in. The posters will be in next week. I'm picking them up from Reno, actually, this weekend. So, yeah. Until then, just, check out what we have going on online, our socials, and hope to see you this week at the Volunteer Social.
Callie Greenhaw, our guest from the National Cowboy Poetry Gathering.